everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Two stakes races at Oaklawn Park on Saturday for sprinters, including our DRF race of the day. It's race number 9, the Grade 3 Whitmore. We're going 3/4 of a mile. Let's take a peek at this field. Pretty big purse, $250,000. We've attracted a field of 7. The number 2, Tejano Twist. You take Skelly out of the equation. He might be the best dirt sprinter at Oaklawn right now.
Yeah, it seems like, he only loses when he faces, it seems like a really top horse, Skelly, Gunnight's in there a couple of times. There's a Cody's Wish race in there. When those horses aren't around, this horse is very tough. The running style, a little problematic for a short price.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Talented, yes. Pace dependent, yes. How is it going to work out for him according to Timeform US? We'll take a peek at the pace projector, and maybe this isn't working out very well. Yes, he has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating, but Rivet could get to the lead, and it's not like Rivet might have to go fast to get it.
Yeah, I wonder how fast this pace is going to be. We'll see how it all plays out. The good news for Rivet, he could make the lead in here, Dan, and he's a very dangerous horse if he does, but he doesn't need it if the pace gets fast. He's perfectly capable of sitting off another horse.
Osborne, the number 1, is cutting back in distance and seems like a horse that might need a little bit of pace aid as well. He was a winner 3 starts back with a solid figure against second-level allowance horses at Churchill Downs. But since then, in his 2 subsequent starts, one was going 2 turns. I won't hold that against him, against a nice winner who came back to run second with an 88 buyer. That race, though, 2 starts back where he was beaten by Tejano Twist, I didn't see the excuse.
Yeah, I didn't either. He just didn't run that well in there. And he was just no match for Tejano Twist. He got a piece of it at the end, but he never really threatened there, Dan. I'm just overall not a huge fan of this horse. He's pretty consistent. If things go his way, I think he could hit the board in this race perhaps, but he's really only got that one race from early last year that gives him any kind of a shot in here.
The number 2, Tejano Twist, admirably consistent. What a great $80,000 claim for Chris Hartman during the spring of 2022. This horse is now at the board in 20 of 29. He's a millionaire. He won this race last year. He's coming into it in good form. Here's a runner-up effort in the King Cotton over a sloppy track. The pace was kind of slow for these class of horses, 44.99, and Skelly, who's very, very good and came back to run so well in his subsequent start overseas. He just had to jump on this horse.
Yeah, could only manage second in here, but he runs fine. The win 2 starts back in that listed stakes race against a couple of these horses, including Rivet. That was a serious performance on Fast Dirt. He made an early move in there. He came with a huge finish to run that field over. His best race, it just makes him super tough here. His main rival, though, is Rivet, and Rivet's going to have to jump on him again.
He has all the fast races, Tejano Twist, several triple-digit buyers, very classy, 3rd behind Cody's Wish in a Grade 1 sprinting last year. And again, he's going to be running late. Rivet's sort of an enigma wrapped in a riddle, Mike. I'm not sure what to make of him. Sometimes he comes through with big efforts like this race. His most recent start at Oaklawn Park, going 3/4 on February the 23rd, where he was cruising on the lead. And he had to go fast to actually set that pressured pace. He puts his pace prompter in the rearview mirror, and he wins under hands and heels urging.
He dominated this race in his 4-year-old debut, Dan. It feels like maybe the best race he's ever run, and it's probably notable that you mentioned the horse that he was pressing on the lead was actually the favorite in this race. He came in on a winning streak from Southern California with some real figures, too, for Peter Miller. He finished last. Rivet just buried that horse and went on with it with a new top figure. I get it that there are some sketchy looking lines, maybe you could say. I think those races are pretty easy to make excuses for, though, Dan. When he's good, he's real good.
Probably the excuse, too, back when Tejano Twist ran him over was that he got involved in a pace battle, and maybe that won't be the case here. Either he's the lone speed or they'll be a little bit more patient with him, because we've seen in the past this horse can win utilizing any sort of running style. A new face to Oaklawn's the number 4, Surveillance, coming in from the fairgrounds for trainer Keith DeZormo. This horse deserves a shot in this race. He scored from out of it last time out in an allowance, and he has tactical enough speed where he can stay close to the pace. Also, he's got a little bit of back class. He's a multiple stakes winner on dirt. He's a stakes winner on stakes placed on turf.
Yeah, he's got a race or two that would give him a real chance in here. I think the trip is going to be really important for him, though, Dan. You mentioned he has tactical speed. He's going to have to try to get a little bit forward, I think, in this race, because for the most part, when they sprint him in the tougher races, he's trying to close from off the pace, and he's not going to outkick Tejano Twist in this race.
It appears he has come back, though, off of a lengthy layoff in renewed form. He was off from July the 1st to January. DeZormo's gotten him good again. Ninja Warrior is the number 5 for trainer Robertino Diodoro. This horse is in very good form. He's won 3 of his last 4 starts, albeit against much weaker competition. Let's watch his most recent start. This is a 62,500 starter allowance, and I'm not sure how you analyze this stretch run, Mike, because you're just waiting for him to get beat here.
Yeah.
He's being swamped from both sides. Now, either he's game to win or no one wants to beat him. I'm going to take the former position that he really wanted it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because I looked at this race the same way. I'm not sure what to make of it. He did look like he was going to get beat, but he's really game to hold on. I kind of staked out the opposite position of you, Dan, if only because the horse that was second to him there, Payne, who we're familiar with, I'm a big fan of, he's okay to settle for second in a lot of his races. He's a good horse, but he'll let horses beat him when it comes right down to dogfight. So I took the other position. This horse should be a good price in here, though.
One of the also-rans from that race did come back to win with a 91 buyer, but confusing the issue, that horse dropped into a $30,000 starter allowance. So it's all about class for Ninja Warrior. Can he step with the big one boys, including Rivet and Tejano Twist? He should be relatively close to the pace, and the price should be fair. Jackson Traveler goes out for Steve Asmussen, and Steve is known for when you get a horse that might not be a grade 1 type, you put him in spots where they win and make money. And that's exactly what Asmussen's been doing with Jackson Traveler. He won a stake at Zia Park 3 starts back. And here's his most recent effort at Sunland Park, where he just went right to the front and said, catch me if you can. I'm the class of the field.
Too good for these horses, was also too good for those horses at Zia at the end of last year. An abbreviated campaign for this horse last year. So I'm not going to get too involved with, what looks like a pretty sketchy run of recent races, Dan. But you're right. I mean, it's all about whether they can ship him back here, take on better horses, and just, get this horse to run his really good race. We've talked about him a lot. I'm not a big fan of this horse, but he's got a race that would make him pretty tough in here.
Flavien Prat takes the mount. I've always felt that he's at his best when you ride him the way you rode him last time. Be very aggressive leaving the gate. And I think Prat, who's obviously one of the best jockeys in the world, realizes that if he goes to the front, I think he can make Rivet take a seat. And maybe Jackson Traveler will be in front, turning into the stretch. Cowan is the number 7, and he was claimed out of his most recent race by David Jacobson. He just missed when offered for the 62.5 claiming option that day. He is usually a very bad actor behind the gate, but when you get him in there, he's got some tactical speed, and he's got several solid races.
It's probably the best thing about him is that he can get the right kind of trip in this race. I'm not really sure that he's a true, stakes quality sprinter, Dan. The horse that he couldn't get by last time, and I know it was a wet sealed track, that horse is in good form, but nobody's going to confuse Disarmed with a graded stakes quality dirt sprinter. So this horse just got to up his game a little bit, but there could be a good trip coming.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Let's take a look at our top picks. For the Whitmore at Oaklawn Park on Saturday, you're going with Rivet. He likely gets the jump on the horse to beat Tejano Twist turning into the stretch. And if he could just string a couple together, I think he could be an interesting sprinter. He's shown the talent.
I agree. I think the trip could be important in this race too, Dan. He's supposed to get the better trip on top of his main rival there, Tejano Twist, who's just the horse to beat.
I'm worried that maybe Rivet will turn into a pumpkin. I'm worried that Tejano Twist might not get the pace. I know Ninja Warrior's in good form. He's really going to have to improve. I need something between 8 and 12 to 1 before I take my chances. 5, 2, 3, 4 for me, 3, 2, 4, 1 for Mike, and Saturday's Whitmore at Oaklawn Park. Good luck.